Jeff Mayweather Show. Had a little mariachi music in honor of our first guest tonight. A great night in store for you. Not only do we have, as usual, I don't even want to say gorgeous, but the absolutely stunning Jeff Mayweather's with us. Our first guest is not only the WBC Diamond Champion, also IBF Champion, and also the Pro Boxing Insider's 2013 Hottest Female Fighter of the Year Award, and we have Ashley Ferrara. So great show tonight, guys. Welcome. How's everybody doing?
Great. How are you doing?
Good. Ashley, you there?
I am doing great tonight. I thought everybody else was going to jump in.
Well, Ashley, Ava, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate that. First of all, let me get that out of the way. I hope you weren't angry at us for naming you that. You know, obviously we appreciate your abilities inside the ring, but, you know, we just did that for our fans, so hopefully you weren't too upset with that.
No, you know, I'm flattered.
Yeah. I actually had Marlen Esparza above you, but Jeff overruled me, so we had to make a change.
Oh, it was that close. Wow. No,
just kidding.
Alex is like trash. Don't listen to him.
All right. Well, a lot's happened, Ava, since the last time we've had you on the show. You know, the last time you were here, you just fought Barbie, you know, obviously winning the WBC Diamond Championship, and then after that, you fought Susana Vasquez in your next fight. First of all, just tell us about how that fight went.
It went well. You know, I thought I was going to go into this fight with two good hands and be able to take her out this time, but there's just something with her head. I ended up hurting my hand again, and you know, but I fought the fight strong. Did it again with one good hand, and you know, came off with a unanimous decision.
Yeah. Now I know the last time you were here, you called out Floyd Mayweather. I lobbied for it. I know Jeff tried to. Jeff, what happened with that? Why couldn't we get that done? Why did he fight in Guerrero instead?
I have no idea, but I don't know. I guess it was a bidding war, and I guess Guerrero won.
Ava, I think you wanted too much. I think you priced yourself at $5 million for that fight, right? So he had to turn you down.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I want to get a little more. Well, first let's go into the whole beef here. I briefly mentioned Marlen. Of course, I was joking, but I know you've been talking a lot about that lately. But let's get into that briefly, real quick. You know, you guys had a little war of words there over Twitter. You know, I guess she was wanting to spar with you, and you know, that was not something you were interested in doing. So if you can just kind of go back and explain how this whole thing started.
Well, I know like a few months ago she came out with this comment that she didn't respect any professional fighters. And before she said that, I was helping her out. You know, every time she would come into town, I would help her spar. You know, just get in there and throw some jabs at her. You know, and work with her. And then, you know, she said what she said. She didn't respect pro athletes. And, you know, I said what I said about it, and I let it go because, you know, she wasn't worth my time anymore. And she called us a few months back about sparring, and I just said, you know, I don't need to spar. I don't want to. You know, she doesn't have respect for anyone, and, you know, she doesn't need any help. So she had a little tantrum about it, you know. Little Miss Princess thinks that everybody should drop everything for a dime and go and help her. And I didn't want to go spar her, and she just had a fit about it on Twitter.
All right. Now, I'm not sure that she wants. It doesn't seem like she has much, you know, aspirations as far as having a professional career after her amateur run's done. You know, from what she's saying, it doesn't seem like she's too interested. But don't you think it's kind of, you know, her responsibility or something that she should take up the cost for women fighters like yourself and other ones, because coming out of the Olympics with the commercial endorsements and that kind of thing, she was, you know, the highest profile female fighter out there. At least, you know, she got some attention. Do you think it was kind of, you know, something that she should have done, taken up the cause rather than beat you guys down and say that you're not any good? She should have tried to elevate the sport in general for women.
Well, you know, I can't speak for her. You know, it would be great to have her lift the sport up and talk great about all of us. But, you know, it just, I guess that's not how it is, and that's not how she feels. You know, it would help us all. we have Clarissa Shields, the one that won gold, and she's not talking trash about anybody. But Marlen feels that with everything behind her, that she has the right to do it. She's got a lot of money behind her, which is great. And she even said she wasn't turning pro, and after the Olympics, she said she was quitting boxing to go back to school. But I think once she saw the money was going to leave, if she quit, she decided to stick with it, see if she can do it another 4 years. But, I can only hope she can come back and, at least get gold and do some good for women's boxing. I'm not going to hate on her that much because she, no matter what she does, she's doing something good, and little girls are going to look up to her.
All right. So now that's the thing, like you said, the money will, follow her as long as she stays fighting. I mean, she said she doesn't want to fight, but do you think even after 2016, do you think there's a chance that she will turn pro and have a run at it just because, hey, that's where the money's going to be?
I hope she does. If we're still the same weight class, that's what I can hope for. She's got a champion right in front of her, and no mercy. She wants to talk sparring, but I'm talking fighting.
Yeah, that's actually something I want to get into a little bit later, the possibility of you guys fighting. But first thing, the one tweet that I kind of chuckled at the most was, her kind of dogging you for saying you didn't even win nationals, and my thought was, yeah, you didn't win nationals, but you won worlds. You're a world champion, so nationals is who cares?
Exactly. It's sort of like a low-profile thing to come out and say, oh, 6 years ago you didn't win nationals. And she did. I listened to her on some show, and she didn't give me credit for anything I've done, which I expected, I guess, out of her. But, I remember nationals very clearly. I got robbed, but either way I lost, and I turned pro, and look at me now. Defended my IBF 3 times successfully, beat the #1 girl, Barbie, who's way bigger than she is, and, I'm just going up from here.
All right. Jeff, let me bring you into this because you do train amateurs and professionals alike. I'm sure you're not familiar with Marlen and her abilities that much, but I know you're somewhat aware, at least, of the tweets there. What kind of things would Marlen be in store for as, because you seem to think that her amateur abilities automatically make her better than most of the pros out there. What kind of realization would she come to if she took off the headgear and lengthened the rounds and had a pro fight?
I mean, it's totally different. And plus the thing is this, is that basically she's just riding on the wave of, women being involved in the Olympics for the first time. And just because you got, you made the Olympic team or anything like that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't make you a star, doesn't make you anything, especially she didn't get medal. So I don't know what that makes her, But the thing is this, is that, it's not, I can't say there's some amateurs that can be some pros. But at the same time, it's totally different. But like I said, I mean, she's riding the wave of just being an Olympian because it's a first-time thing, so it's like a big deal. But at the end of the day, still, if she wants to be a fighter, I mean, she would do it in the ring and not just do it on Twitter, because I mean, I see some of the beef that was going on Twitter, and Ava handled it the right way. I mean, eventually she just cut it off and left it alone.
And plus you had to be worried about Marlen with her eating all that McDonald's and drinking all that Coke. You have to wonder if she can be able to stay in shape, right?
It's funny because I had a friend look up one of her commercials, and she's got a lot of photo editing going on, but staying in shape is a hard deal, and McDonald's is not the way to do it.
Right. Now, Ashley, you're a woman. What do you? And Ava, I'm sorry, I apologize in advance. Ashley gets really catty, so if she gets out of line, please, accept our apologies. But I don't know why I pick on. See, I used to pick on Jeff all the time. Now I just pick on Ashley. Anyway, Ashley, I'm sorry. As far as I know you're a fan of boxing. I don't think that you're a really big fan of female boxing. If you are, my apologies. But what do you think? Something like this Marlen and Ava. I don't want to call it a feud, but beef and this kind of stuff can do to elevate women's boxing, or what needs to be done to bring it to the next level and get it some attention, at least here in stateside?
Well, I mean, I think that we've all seen that feuds help make fighters more popular and make fights, make people want to watch them more. So, if you look at the UFC and you look at Ronda Rousey, people get fights against her because they start fighting with her on Twitter and all the social media groups. So, it does at least get some publicity for sport. I know now, obviously since Marlen's, not pro right now, that's probably not going to happen, but girls will always be catty, and I just appreciate that, Ava is willing to look above that and say, hey, if you want to come fight me, come fight me. But, chill out otherwise.
Leave that gear home.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do.
I was thinking
about what you just said. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I wouldn't have had a problem with her talking trash if that was her personality, because there's some people that you just have to go along with and to make it better. But that's not what she portrays to people. So it was sort of just like, she makes herself look so sweet and so cute and lovable, but then she comes out and says the things she says, and it sort of threw me off. I'm not a trash talker, but, I do what I have to do when they tell me to do it, and everything is played out. But that's just not her, and for her to come out to say that was sort of disrespectful to me.
All right.
Yeah,
well, now, go ahead, Ashley.
Nobody can disrespect what you've done. You've proven yourself over and over again, and that's really all anybody can ask. So it's amazing that there's even anything to say after that.
Well, but again, she didn't win nationals, so, there is
that. And she probably lost the spelling bee in third grade, too, right?
Right. Hey, besides your little beef there aside, overall, like I said, like it or not, she's probably, and there's women like yourself and other boxers that have done so much, but she's still kind of the face right now, of female boxing. How do you think she overall is, as an ambassador for women?
I can't answer that because, when I talk to the people who handle the professional women, they don't really know anything about her. But, as for getting your face on the TV, she's the one that people see right now. And, nobody else is doing it. So I hope that she can change her attitude and straighten up and be a good role model for younger girls that want to fight and keep going, because no matter what, no matter how I look at it, she is the face of boxing and amateur boxing, and girls are saying they want to be like her right now, and she just needs to realize that and step up to that, that spot.
Right. Now, you said you're not a big trash talker. You just kind of do it when you're told and that kind of thing. I know you've had a couple fights with Keisha West. Obviously, you guys get along really well. She was kind of on your side in that little beef. But was there one fight that in particular that you went in where there was no prodding needed or nothing forced, where you really legitimately didn't like that person?
No. I think there's I've never gone into a fight not liking anybody. I know after the fight, it's totally different. Some people can accept they lost, and some people can't. Like after Barbie and I fought, she didn't take that loss. She thought she won, and I looked at her and I said, "You lost. Deal with it." And she walked out of the ring and shook nobody's hand. And I saw her last week. I ended up going to Mexico for a big award ceremony, and I look at her, and I wasn't even gonna try and say hi, just because it. We could just keep that going, and I didn't feel like being disrespected by her and getting brushed off, so we totally just went the other way.
All right. Now here's something me and Jeff have gotten to. We've had discussions about. We both agree on this, and what I think is one of the big problems with female boxing is that, like your last fight, for example. There you are fighting for championship, and I know you had problems getting an opponent, but to the casual fan, the guy that doesn't know much and is like, well, maybe I'm going to check out some female boxing, maybe I'll get into it, they're looking at a WBC, flyweight championship fight, you against a girl that's 8-7. You know, and I know Jeff, like I remember when Jeff used to work at the Hit Factory, there was a poster, I can't remember who it was on the wall, Jeff, but it said like 5 times world champion, and the girl was a 15-10 record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do you see the problem there? Jeff, let me ask you first. Is it the problem with the disparity of talent that you don't have people with these nice, pretty records that are really getting fans behind them, and you see like an 8 and 7, it just doesn't inspire you, or what?
Well, I mean, I think there's 2 things with women boxing. One thing is that what you just said. You know, you do have, you know, a person that can become champion in 5 or 6 fights, or even have an upside-down record and still win a title. You know, and then the other thing is this: women boxing has changed. Women boxing is not really so much about the best fighter as it used to be. It's about, you know, because even now most promoters, they're looking for, like the Ava Knight, they're looking for a pretty face that can actually fight. She's not just a pretty face; she can actually fight, and that kind of hurts the sport as well, because I mean, you have, you know, some women that, you know, can actually fight, but they just happen to look, you know, they don't have that look, so they're not going to get no attention. They're not going to get no shine. They're not going to get, you know, no spotlight at all. And you know, and that's kind of unfair, because it's a sport that's based on talent. It's not based on looks.
But you know, Ava, do you agree with that? And do you feel the same way that I mean, obviously your talent, you know, helps you, and you're not getting there, you know, just based on the way you look. But do you feel that dragged the sport down? That it is, you know, so much, you know, because I mean, you know, even though it's women's boxing, still the majority of fans of boxing are men. So obviously they're trying to appeal to, you know, their male fan base. So do you think that's part of the problem?
Yeah, I think it is. But on a different note, I believe that there are 3 different types of fighters that men like to see women. Men like to see the women that are pretty, that can fight, and I feel that they also like to see the women that look like men that can tear your head off, you know, because it's interesting, and to seeing those 2 fight, you know, is probably a great. I don't want to call it a sideshow, but you know, but that's just the way it looks, and that's the way people like it. Regardless, you know, just like when the guys get in there, if you've got a pretty boy Floyd or Adrian Broner calling himself pretty and sexy and getting in there with these guys that, you know, that they probably don't think look very good, you know, tearing up their faces. I guess I think there's a little more to it, but, you know, I think for marketability, everybody wants the pretty girl to sell, you know, that can fight.
Right. Because that's why you had mentioned, you know, especially at the time that Marlen would have turned pro, and I can see him doing it, you know, and you said you'd be there for, but, you know, whether you're champion or not, you still have a lot of fights under your belt, and, you know, and it's obviously inconceivable even for an Olympic gold medalist to come in one fight be fighting someone of your level. So that's just what is strange to me, that could even be a possibility.
Yeah, and I think she said that after she wins gold, she could have 1 fight and beat me. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, can you think of anything comparable where anyone, no matter how good they were, coming out of the amateurs, would have a fight of that stature in the pros?
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, but like I said, you know, the one thing is this: women's boxing is still fairly new. You know, so it's not like, that's why you don't have women that are established, you know, to the point of the whole world knowing who they are. You know, but even with that being said, I mean, so it's one of those things that, you know, and the Olympic thing is, like I said, that's brand new, and that's brought some new attention to the sport of women's boxing, which is good for the sport, because those are the ones that's going to, you know, take the sport to the next level, you know. But with that being said, I mean, you know, I mean, it's happened. It's happened before, and even in men's boxing. I mean, you had Leon Spinks fought the greatest fighter in the world with 7 fights and won. You know, you have Babe Ruth won the world title with, about 10 or 11 fights. So it happens.
Right.
It happens even in men's sports. So, I mean, of course it can happen in a woman's sport as well, but, you know, I mean, it just has to be like anything else. It has to be marketed right.
Right. You know, and even look at the gym, you know, you have people like Memphis Miller that you train there. You know, he's an amateur, and he more than holds his own against a lot of the pros in the gym. In fact, he beats most of them. So, you know, it certainly can happen. It just would seem strange to me, like I said, you know, whether an Olympic gold medalist or not, just coming straight in and fighting someone the caliber of Ava. Although, Ava, I know you would love that because that would by far be the most marketable fight name probably since Layla Ali and Christy Martin, I guess. So you'd like it because it had to be giving you some good money at least.
Yeah, it would be a great fight, but I also think about what you guys said, and the thing about the women fighting is it's not that the world doesn't know about us, it's that the United States doesn't know about us. You know, coming back from Mexico, everybody knows who I am, and I'm not even Mexican, and you know, being on the stage with all the Mexican fighters, and they have women on their stages, you know, it's not just men, and when I go into the boxing gyms in Mexico, there's more women than there are men, so I think it's just something that the United States needs to pick up on.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to get first. I want to ask Ashley a question. I want to get in that a little bit. That's the next thing I wanted to cover was you going to Mexico. But Ashley, I know you're a boxing fan. You love MMA. But as far as female boxing goes, what do you think that they can do? Especially like now, you know, it was hard enough doing it on their own. Now they have to compete with women's MMA, which seems to be, you know, doing pretty well and you know, gaining some momentum. So what can female boxing do to compete with them?
I mean, I think that, you know, it just needs to become more frequent. I mean, even MMA for women, you know, as much as it is, they have the Invicta, which is all women, but they don't have a women's fight on every card, and so it's still not even, I mean, it's popular, I think, a lot in the social media and the media, but if you look at how frequently they're fighting, I'm not sure it's that much more frequent than boxing. And, you know, if you can take it and make it more pop culture friendly, that would have to be the way that you do it. And, I mean, you do see, you know, Michaela Mayers in that Dr. Pepper commercial, and then during the Olympics, you know, Marlen was in several commercials, and so you would, and I can't think of that many female MMA fighters besides, I guess, Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate that weren't in such commercials. So it seems like they're getting it out there, but you know, maybe just not developing as many younger talent as MMA. But MMA is popular right now, so that's kind of how it is.
Now, Ava, why do you think that you know, the commercial opportunities or whatever, why are they missing the boat on you? I mean, you know, you're an attractive woman. You're obviously very talented. You know, the Diamond Champion for WBC. You speak well. I mean, why are they missing the boat on you so far?
You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just timing. Maybe they're waiting for the right moment. But I really don't know. I feel like I'm the whole package. You know, with, like you said, I probably look good on TV, and I put on a good show, and I'm very talented, but, you know, I guess the market for that isn't there yet, you know, that maybe they don't feel like there's a profit in it.
Hey, Jeff, we need to get her on the money team, get the machine behind her. What do you think?
You never know.
Well, I can't do that, actually, because she wants to fight him. She doesn't want to be on his team, so I guess we can't do that. Now, Ava, you had mentioned Mexico. You know, you started off your career fighting in the United States. Your last several fights, I don't know, 5 or 6 in a row, have been in Mexico. What is it that Mexico is doing right as far as getting their folks behind women's boxing and getting them to support you guys?
You know, there's women on every card. Every one that I've been to, there's always an undercard, even like just a 4-round fight. There's always women on the card. There's women on the posters. The women are on TV. They're doing everything that we're not doing here, that we should be doing just to get our names out. And I think that promoters are putting their money into the women, and they're making good money off of it because the women put on good shows. And most of the time they put on the best show of the night. You know, the last 4 fights I had in Mexico were the best fights of the night. And I've been, you know, two out of 4 of those fights, I've been the main event on the card.
All right. So now you're the gringo. Well, you're the American going down there. I guess you can't call you a gringo, right? But you're the American going down there in Mexico. How do the people treat you? Are you the bad guy? Do they embrace you? How does that work?
They sort of love to hate me. Just because I've been fighting the Mexicans and beating the Mexicans, it's sort of like a love-hate thing. But they enjoy the way I fight. I fight well, and they appreciate that. And they get a good show off of my fight. So every time I come there, they show me love.
Right. Now you're fighting there. They support you, and obviously you got to go there because I'm assuming the money's better there because they embrace the sport better. But ultimately, do you think you have to get back here in the States if you want to make that name for yourself? Because it seems like if you're not fighting in the States, ultimately you're not going to get the attention that you might want.
Well, yeah, I think the goal is to fight in your hometown or home state and put on a show for your own people. I would like to be America's female hero in boxing and bring the sport up so people can push it out there. But with Mexico doing a good job, they might lose me if it takes too long.
Right. Jeff, what are you doing, man? What's up with the noise?
That ain't mine. That ain't me.
It's not you? Oh. Yes, all right.
I don't know what you're hearing.
Oh, it was Ashley. Ashley was a culprit. See, she's sabotaging you, Ava. That's how she is.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right. All right, well, explain Ava something else. I know, you're dabbling in other things. I put an article out there not too long ago. I know you're training for something else here. You're the bikini fitness and bodybuilding contest in Chico. Tell us a little about that.
It's my first year trying this. I'm obviously not going to do the bodybuilding section. I'm not shooting for that sort of look. But I was thinking about doing a figure and bikini contest because I figure it can't hurt me, and it's in the same field of getting in shape and looking good. So I might as well, two birds in one stone.
Right, and I know you're looking for sponsors. So if someone wants to be part of that, how can they help you out there?
I have a donation page on my website, officialavaknight.com, which you can go through, and if you would like to donate a little more, you can email me at avaknight15@yahoo.com.
All right. And then going back to boxing here, Floyd Mayweather's got a fight in May with Robert Guerrero. Do you want to go ahead on the show here and call out the winner of that fight for us then, since you did last time?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I'm just saying I'll take 5%, and I'll make the best show of the night.
Well, let me ask you, because, you put in the hardest work of anybody. I mean, I don't know you personally, but women in general, they get in the gym. I've seen women work just as hard as the men. The one we see all the time is Jessica Cozy that's in our gym, and she works as hard as anybody. When you hear someone like Robert Guerrero, whether it's true or not or whatever, but saying he wants, wanted $4 million and he almost wants to fight for that, how much does that piss you off as a champion, knowing that's what the guys are getting paid when women aren't recognized financially in the same way?
It used to bother me a lot. It almost made me want to quit because it's like, what am I doing this for? I'm never going to, make a job out of it. But I think it's just gotten to the point where I realized that I can't compare myself to the men, and I never will. It's just one of those things that I feel will never be on the same page. But, I just do the sport because I love to do it. And, right now Mexico is putting food in my mouth. It's certainly not a real job for a whole household income. But, it pays well, and I'm doing okay. And as long as I'm doing okay, I'll keep fighting, for the love of it.
And Jeff, let me ask you this. Do you think that, it's obviously never get equal with men, at least, not in our lifetime probably, but do you think it's going to take another Layla Ali type to get some kind of interest in women's sport, or do you think that if it's done right, just the competition itself will at least be able to increase recognition for the women?
Well, I think that it's going to take, it's going to take more than one Olympics. I think that Olympics, women being in the Olympics is going to have, that's what's going to change it, because they're going to have women that come out of there that actually, once again, they're going to have to be able to fight really, really good if they're not attractive. And if they're attractive and they can really fight, they're going to be marketed in a way in which, you know, women's boxing can become prominent again. Other than that, no, you need a Layla Ali. You need somebody that has a history tied to somebody that's already been successful. I mean, because that's when women's boxing was at its highest. When you had, you know, all these famous daughters coming out to fight just because of their dad's name. That's what made women's boxing prominent. The women themselves didn't make boxing prominent. The history attached to that made the boxing prominent. So, you know, and that's one of those things, you know, and so the only way that's going to happen, like I said, either somebody, you know, with already a legacy, daughter is going to have to, you know, step into boxing, or a person is going to have to be made through, you know, the Olympics. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Do you have any daughters running around out there you don't know about, Jeff?
No, I ain't got that.
Oh my God.
Hey, Ava, you know, going on what he said, with, you know, like other sports like gymnastics and you know, some other different sports, I can't think off the top of my head, but, you know, they see a bump after the Olympics in popularity, little kids signing up and wanting to be a part of it. You know, this is the first time for women in boxing and the Olympics. Did you see a noticeable increase in interest in as far as participants go from women following the Olympics? And is it like a fad? Is it starting to die out already, or is it the momentum, you know, going in that way?
I think they were always good in the gym. I think with it in the Olympics, it was just a little more bump for girls to be like, oh, I want to try that. But you know, just like the men's, either way you look at it, boxing is a tough sport, and not everybody can do it. So the girls that are willing to do it and put in that were already in the gym are probably the ones that are still in the gym.
Right. And just final thing, you know, going back to what I touched on records, you know, you get some of these girls that, you know, are pretty much not legitimate. You know, like I said, you see these poor records fighting for championships and that kind of thing. I still think that, you know, depth is one of the huge problems. There's not enough, you know, quality fighters out there. How many people, you don't have to name names, but in your division, like how many people do you think are tough, legitimate, good fighters? 10, 15, 20, 5?
Yeah, I think there's about 100 girls in my weight class worldwide, which is not a lot compared to the men. And I would say...
No, I mean that are good, not just fighting.
But, you know, I would say maybe 15 girls that would put up a good... Either they would... If you can't knock them out, they're just going to keep walking forward and put up a good fight, or just naturally have skill. I would say about 15 girls, which, you know, eventually leads to an end. You know, you can only get far with 15 fights, but, you know, that's where the girls go up and down in weight class. But, like, you know, the girl that I just fought, Susanna, like, she's got 7 losses, and, you know, the average fan wouldn't know that that girl that I just beat has only lost to girls who have been number 1 and been world champions. So, you know, to say that she isn't worthy is, you know, something wrong to say. But, you know, she did lose to all of them, but she was in the ring with all champions.
That's true. So it shows both points. First, that, you know, that maybe she was better than you think, but also it shows that, you know, some people are getting fights with people that a little earlier than maybe they should, you know, whereas in men you see a lot of them, you know, there are exceptions, like you mentioned, Spinks and folks like that, but you'll see a lot of these guys, you know, fight, you know, 15, 20, 25 times before they, or in Canelo's case, you know, 40-something times before they really step up and fight top guys. So, you know, that's something you know, hopefully they'll be able to change it and fix that, and they'll be able to get a lot more interest in the sport. As far as you go, you know, you're just in Mexico. What was that for? And then also, what do you got next? You got a fight lined up?
I went to Mexico last week for a Televisa Awards. It was for all the fighters that fight on Televisa, which are mainly the Mexicans that they, you know, have main events for and that they love and put on the fight cards. So it was just, they gave out awards to, you know, the people who made the best fight of the year, from 20 years ago all the way up to now. So it was an honor for me to be on the stage with all of them, and it was awesome. And we're looking for a fight in April. We're running out of girls that are willing to step up at 112, so we don't know if we're moving up or down or to the next weight class, but, hopefully I'll just be in the ring. That's all I care about.
Right. And then just tell them real quick as far as, we had a great time having you on here. As far as, I know one thing, plug your shirts. I know you don't have any larges left, but I know you have some shirts for sale there that are obviously going quick because you're running out of them. But tell us about those and then where the folks can keep up with you on Twitter and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I got some shirts online, on my website, officialavaknight.com, and it has everything about me, the fights that I've had, pictures. I think there's some videos. You can follow me on Twitter at Ava_Knight and Facebook, .com/officialavaknight. And I always respond the best I can to almost everything I can, so I'm always doing everything myself.
Okay. Jeff, closing words from you?
Nope. I'm nice.
He's mad you called out his nephew there, I think. He hasn't recovered from that.
I hope that
Are you brother? I think I called out your nephew.
What's that, Jeff? You started to say something.
I said I hope it happens.
That'd be interesting. Ashley, what about you?
I mean, I just want to wish you good luck, and I really hope that people will actually step up and fight you so, you can have some fights and we can see you in the ring more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, last thing. How do we get Ava a fight here in Las Vegas? I mean, is there just no market at all here for female boxing?
I mean, I'm sure it is. But I don't know exactly.
Jeff, you said it yourself. You got to have a name or a man behind you. You got to be the man in front of the woman to help the women. You get the name. Not saying you're the one with the name. Why don't you help some women come out and push them out there?
I will push you all the way out there. No, actually, you know what?
Push me off the cliff.
Actually, that maybe I'll look into that and see what I can do. But I'll tell you another place that's prominent for women boxing is Trinidad. Actually, the women are always the main event, and the guys are always the undercard.
Jeff's trying to send me to Trinidad. He doesn't want to help me out in the U.S.
No, I'm not trying to send you to Trinidad. No, like I said, maybe I'll look into trying to, help you possibly get on one of these cards out here.
Yeah. Well, Ava, as long as
thank you,
thank you. As long as I'm still on Pro Boxing Insider, we'll do everything we can there to push your name out there and get folks to know about you. Because, like I said, I think it's it's a shame that some of your talent and your abilities gets overlooked in the States, and you have to go to Mexico and fight all the time. Our best fighters should be able to fight here and just make it a rare appearance when they go overseas. So, thanks so much for joining us, and we really appreciate you having us. And anything else you want to say before you go?
Thanks for having me on the show, and all the people that are listening, shout out to all the women who are fighting and doing their thing, and thank you to all the supporters.
Yeah. All right, Ava, we appreciate it. Thanks so much, and I'd love to get you back on sometime in the future. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right, that was Ava Knight. Thanks so much to her. Appreciate her joining us. Got one more guest I'm going to go ahead and get. Ashley, while we're plugging things, go ahead. I saw that you're involved in some. I don't know if you did it yourself, but you're involved in Ring Magazine and their little contest there. So tell us a little about that while I get our next guest on and how folks can support you.
Yeah, so the Ring Magazine is doing their own version of March Madness. And so what they've done is they're taking all of the girls they've featured as ring card girls. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but every month they have a different girl that they feature. And last May, so May 2012, I was the featured girl. And so what they did is they put on their site a ranking system. And if you go to their site, you can find the Ring Card Girl March Madness, and you rank your top 16. And once they have the top 16 ranked, that'll end, the voting for that will end on March 17th. And so they will put everybody in brackets, and then you'll go head-to-head until there is one championship ring card girl. So obviously I would appreciate if everybody went and voted for me. You can also find the link on my Twitter at Ashley Ferrara. And it's going to be, I think, a pretty exciting contest. And there's some pretty stiff competition, but I've had a lot of support from my fans so far. And the tricky part of the contest is that you can vote as many times as you want. So, I mean, I've just been trying to vote as much as I can, begging everybody to vote as much as they will. So we'll see, but the champion will be crowned, I think, in April.
All right. Hey, well, good luck with that, and certainly everybody get out the vote there and support Ashley if you can. She deserves it. Jeff, this guy's been bugging me on Twitter here for a while. I'm sick of listening to him. He keeps talking about how terrible Floyd is and how Guerrero's going to kill him. So I'm going to give him 2 minutes to come on here and just say his piece, and you can defend your guy there. So area code 408, you're on the show. Welcome.
Hello?
You there, 408? Go ahead. You go ahead and tell me what you're saying about Floyd.
What? What are you on drugs? Did you just say I was bothering you to get on this show?
Oh, you're not going to play along. Anyway, we got Mike Kogan with us here. I was
What
trying
the
to
hell are
play
you talking
along.
about? You're trying to make me be a poser? You said I've been bugging on Twitter to get on your show? You must be smoking crack, son. The hell are you talking about? What's up, Jeff? You wanted me to get on here to bring a little happiness to your show. I can't talk about Floyd. I don't know shit about boxing. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, before we get started here, if you have young ears listening to the show, turn it down because Mike is unfiltered. He's going to say what he
I'm
thinks.
not going to curse. I'm at Best Buy in Temecula. I don't want to get arrested.
All right. Well, first of all, welcome to the show, Mike. You're on with myself, Jeff Mayweather, and our co-host, Ashley Ferrara there, ring card girl extraordinaire. Welcome to the show. First of all, this is, the one thing I want to know about, our listeners might want to know about is your connection with Jeff. I know you guys got quite a relationship there due to a lot of your fighters working together.
Yeah, actually, Jeff was introduced to us by a mutual friend, Percy Crawford, who runs the boxing website, FightHype.com. And, he hooked Jeff up with Mo. And then, we just kind of sent Mo up there and have him train with Jeff, and we really liked it. And then, I met Jeff, and, we kind of became friends, and I think he brings a tremendous amount of value to the guys that I've sent to him, showing them the, not just the footwork, but the defensive boxing, and also, the basics, which don't overextend them in the MMA fight and allow them to use their hands pretty successfully. So, that's how we hooked up with Jeff. Jeff's the man. That's why he's got his own radio show. And I don't have a radio show.
Before we get into the specifics of what he does, real quick, who are some? I know you started off with Royce Gracie, but people that don't know you, who are some of the fighters that you're currently involved with and you have been in the past? Because I know it's a pretty impressive list.
People that don't know me can go through your archives and listen to a 5-hour fucking interview where I told them my whole life story. Oh, sorry. They can listen to an extremely long interview that I did on your archives. They'll tell them all about it. But
wait, in all fairness, let me interrupt you. We only asked 2 questions. The interview took 5 hours, but we only asked you 2 questions. You just did it all yourself.
Because you let me talk, dude.
That's right. Easiest interview I ever had. I said, "How you doing, Mike?"
Exactly,
and then I said, "What else?"
That's exactly why he didn't have his own radio show.
Yeah.
I know, right? If I had my own radio show, I would never be able to get a sponsor because I curse so much. They'd be like, "Dude, we can't be a part of this."
So anyway, who are some of the guys you work with?
I work with Mo. I work with Roy Nelson. I work with guys like Brett Cooper, Jason High. I work with Syed Awad, who's in the Bellator 155 tournament final. Georgie. I don't know. I work with a lot of really, really good guys. Derek Bronson. I don't want to miss anybody out because people be hitting me up and be like, dude, what's up with that? You name drop me.
What about Ryan?
Put on the spot. Yeah,
Ryan Martinez.
Yeah, see what I mean? Like Ryan would have been, I've been on his shit list and I'm going on his fight. So you're going to get me in trouble. That's why I just said I work with a lot of people. But you wouldn't leave it at that.
Yeah, you're a manager of Ryan Martinez. You're sending that poor guy to Maine. I think he's going to stick out like a sore thumb there, huh?
Yeah, he probably will. But, he sticks out as a sore. Unless he's fighting in Southern California, he sticks out as a sore thumb everywhere. I mean, never know. Right?
Jeff, so what's it been like? Obviously, being involved with someone like Mike helps you a little bit. Or did it, was he kind of the driving force behind you get with all these MMA guys, or how did that work out?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to MMA, Mike's my guy. He's a great guy. Not just with the MMA thing. He has a great personality. Always joking, always having, fun time. So he's a great guy to be around. But he's also serious about, what he do. And so, I feel honored to be working with this guy. And I feel, it's a good feeling, to have someone that actually believes in what you're doing, and and it actually continues to give me work, and help my name, grow in the MMA world as well.
Right. The one thing, Mike, I want to ask you about, because you have the guys working with Jeff. You have Ryan, you have Roy, you have Mo. Obviously, Mo had the disappointing loss a couple weeks ago. First of all, respond to the stupid criticism, on both sides that Jeff got, that Mo got from people, saying that, what's that? Oh.
No, I just somebody else talking. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just tell me a little about the criticism that Jeff got, that Mo got for that fight, the things that went down, and any chance that what happened would have caused someone like you to lose faith in Jeff's ability to work with these guys?
No, not at all. No, nothing that Jeff did had anything to do with what happened in the fight. It's very common in this business. People will praise you when things are going your way. If Mo would have knocked him out, they would have been like, oh, see, there you go. There's that Jeff Mayweather boxing. But, a dude threw a spinning back fist, and he got caught. And what does that have to do with Jeff? Or anybody, for that matter? The only thing that Mo should have done different was keep his hands up. They got nothing to do with Jeff or boxing. They got to do with any combat sport. You just don't put your hands down when your opponent's not looking at you. So no, I think that's just retarded. Anybody who blames that is retarded. There was quite a bit of criticism on the internet. People were talking about his head movement and shoulder rolls. Nobody had a problem when he was knocking out Coleslaw doing that shit. So it's just It's just retarded. I don't pay attention to that. It doesn't bother me at all. Just like in any fight, when a guy loses, just like in any fight, there are errors that obviously were made that Newton capitalized on. What we need to do is just address those errors and fix them moving forward. They got nothing to do with Jeff or boxing or boxing being unfit for MMA or any of that stuff. It's just retarded. Stupid people say that.
Right. It's the same thing. I went on some message boards and I'm reading stuff like, and people that know nothing. I read that. Oh, that's the Mayweather Philly shell defense. They're teaching him there. And that's Jeff taught him to keep his hands down. That's real brilliant. And stuff like. And then even the worst was saying, oh, that's because the only thing he's training is boxing now. He doesn't train anything else. And it's just stupid stuff like that. People that don't know. I know, of course, it's not true, but because he's a Mayweather, he gets most attention. So people say, oh, he's only training that. So Jeff, what are your thoughts on that? As far as
the thing is that that just comes with the territory, and I'm sure that Jeff has been exposed to this kind of stuff with even his boxers. Bottom line is when when you are kind of a celebrity name amongst the sport, where the good comes to bad. You know what I mean? For every knockout he gets praises for, and then people will, bitch about it when it doesn't go your way. But in MMA, it's just more profound because MMA fans are retarded and they just bitch more than anybody else. So whatever, it's cool.
Exactly. And people talking about the defense, I'm like, because Jeff, obviously, his training isn't as good as all those other trainers who have nothing but undefeated fighters who have never lost a fight or ever made a mistake in the ring. So Jeff, what are your thoughts on that as far as I know you're used to having been in the business a long time, you're used to the good and the bad, but your thoughts on some of the things that I said as far as, you're teaching the Philly shell defense and stuff like that.
Well, first of all, I don't even know what no Philly shell defense is. But the thing is this, is that, no, any fighter that I train, I teach them to keep their hands up. That's first and foremost. I deal with the basics, But the thing is this. It's like I said, one thing with me is this. If people want to put the blame on me, that's fine. I don't care because I'm a team player. If they say Jeff did this, or because me and Mo was together, we're a team. So if somebody want to criticize him, they already criticizing me. And I have no problem with it because it's like this. When you're winning, everybody praise you. When you lose, that's when everybody that wants to hate on you, they come out. And the thing is this, is that at the end of the day, that doesn't define me. It doesn't define Mo. After we, what's going to define Mo is how he come back from it. And basically, how can you, and you definitely can't define me by, I train probably about 15 fighters. So, if I have a run like Freddie Roach, where he had all of his fighters lose, maybe then somebody can say something. But, if I have a fighter that lose one day, and then the next week my guy wins, I'm doing something right, And like I said, even when my person lose, I don't care who they are. I go down with them. That's the kind of trainer I am. That's the kind of person I am. It's not about me. It's about that person. The person is a commodity, not me. So I have no problem.
No. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, I'm finished.
Okay. Now, actually, you had a perfect story that you told me the other day that kind of illustrated the point of the way people are. And actually, I think Mikey might appreciate this because you know MMA a little more than Jeff. He won't know the story. But actually, I know you were watching the fight at a bar there. Tell us about the person you had that got such joy out of the loss.
I have no idea. Are you sure? What are you talking about?
Yeah, you said the girlfriend of a particular fighter that came up.
Wait, when was this?
You said at Mo's fight there was a girlfriend of a former fighter.
Yeah. I don't.
Tell us about that.
Okay, well, it is a girl who's just very happy. I don't really want to say who it was because that's not fair to me.
You want me to say it then? If you don't want to call him out, then you're not doing it.
I don't want you to say it either.
Okay. Well, I'll just put it like this, Mike. There was a girl. There's a girlfriend, Mike, of one of Mo's early opponents who Mo smashed and took a special glee out of him losing, and that kind of goes on what you both said. People get so excited when people are down. It's like they didn't accomplish anything in their own lives, so they're excited when they get to rip on someone else. It's more fun to tear people down than it is to build them up. Mike, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Lawrence Larkin's girlfriend was there.
What's that?
I think he might have been Lawrence Larkins. I think his girlfriend was there because I seen him tweet some stupid shit.
I'm not gonna say who
it wasn't her. It was one of his early fighters.
Definitely not fair.
The guy that fought a whole bunch of times.
Oh, come on, really?
Anyway, we'll move on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should.
We'll move on.
Come on.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about.
There you go. See, no big deal. So anyway, Mike, how do you think he moves on from this? Does he come back stronger than others? Is he pissed off? Is it going to make him a better fighter, or I know some fighters can kind of go into his shell afterwards and be upset about it, and it's a negative thing.
Yeah, he's gonna. Well, listen. I think it's just cliche to say he's going to come back stronger than ever, and he's going to rise up, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do that. I mean, he's not dying of cancer. He just lost the damn fight. He made a mistake. He's not going to make that mistake again. We already, we sat down. We already analyzed what went wrong. We looked at the root of the problem. We've identified the root of the problem. We're going to address it. We're going to fix it. The only thing that we're going to learn as a team from this, not learn, but take away as a team from this, all of us, not just Mo, but me and Jeff and everybody else involved in here, is that we're just going to analyze and reanalyze situations and be more proactive in looking for errors and fixing them than being retroactive and fixing them after the fact so that they don't happen again. But, to say that he's going to come back stronger than ever, I mean, that's just cliche. He's not going to be any stronger than he is now. He's going to be just as strong and just as good. We're just going to try to, pay more attention to the errors and to the flows, and believe me, and without disclosing too much, we have identified a few problem areas, the ones that we saw even in the first fight, that we're going to address and change some things around. And that's it, And then he's going to come back and he's going to go back to doing what he's doing. And 2 fights from now, none of this will matter. And, it is the way it is.
Right. Well, without disclosing too much or what you feel comfortable disclosing, the two, besides the obvious that his hands weren't up, but the 2 things that he caught the most criticism for, or people believe was the biggest problem, was that he was overconfident in the fight, and also that he, totally abandoned his ground game, that he's, too happy to be a boxer at this point.
Well,
do you agree with that?
The thing. I don't agree with people saying that he was too overconfident. He was confident going into the fight. What is he supposed to do? Not be confident? I mean, if you're going to walk in a cage going, holy shit, I hope I win this thing, then you probably shouldn't be there in the first place. He was confident going into the fight because he knew that he has all the tools needed to win. Just because you lose doesn't mean you didn't have the tools to win. It just means you made a mistake and your opponent capitalized on it. Good for him. This is MMA. It's a high-level competition. It's not like he lost in a barn fight. This was a tournament. There was a lot of tough guys in there. Just because people on the internet believe that Mo was just going to waltz through it and skate all his way to the top, doesn't actually mean that's how it is. A fight is a fight. You know what I mean? If you don't believe that, go tell Bigfoot, who just knocked out Alistair Overeem, how much people believed in he was going to do that. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. So, was he overconfident? No, he was confident. Did he make a mistake and drop his hands when he wasn't supposed to? Yes. We're going to address that. We're going to address, but it's not just a matter of, just keep your hands up. There's other issues that we're going to address, and we're going to fix it all. But as far as him abandoning his ground game, he didn't abandon his ground game. The game was, let's keep it standing for a little bit and see what happens, and then take it from there. Ironically, within 20 seconds of what actually happened, we were going to shoot and take him to the ground. It just came up short. Shit happens. But does that mean he's going to abandon his stand-up and just wrestle people to death? No, because then the same people who are bitching now that he's boxing too much are going to be like, what the hell? All he's doing is taking people down. This is so boring. I like the guys that bang it out. I don't understand, and that's why I don't take seriously what people say, because they're just retarded and they contradict themselves. Everybody wants a knockout, but when the guy gets knocked out, they're saying he shouldn't have got knocked out. He should have been on the ground. Well, fuck, do you like the knockout or not? Or is it only, I don't like the fact that Mo got knocked out. Don't get me wrong. But I don't like it because Mo is my friend, Mo is my brother, and I manage him. So I have 3 reasons not to like the fact that he got knocked out. But if I was a fan, I wouldn't give a damn if he got knocked out. I'd be like, great, look, another knockout. You know what I mean? It's just so contradictory to itself. It's like the same people who love knockouts and hate wrestling, now are bitching that he was boxing too much and he wasn't wrestling too much. That's his loss. Why are you upset by it? You should be excited. He got knocked out.
You know, in kind of, you know, going on what you said there, you know, I'm really interested in seeing the next fight when it gets in there, you know, where his head will be, if he's going to try to stand or if he's going to, have a thing in the back of his mind that I need to take this to the ground and grind out that victory. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Jeff,
I'll tell you right now, this is not going to affect the way he fights moving forward. It will affect certain aspects of the strategy that we're going to build around. But he's not one of those people who's going to be haunted by a knockout for the next 3-4 fights and, you know, has to work his way back in. I mean, we're past that already. It's not going to be a factor. We're not going to abandon, certain aspects of his game and just go to the safest route possible because of it. That's,
you know, and like you had said, you know, talking about being tough guys in the tournament, that kind of thing. That's the one thing I always get yelled at. Probably, you know, Mo yells at me for a lot of things. You know, he's, you know, in the words of Roger Mayweather, he thinks I don't know shit about MMA. So, but his favorite thing, and Roy too, is when you bring up rankings, like you say, you know, anybody can knock out anybody. You know, you ask him, you know, well, this guy's is, you know, who's your top 2 or who should be the next? You know, to them, basically, you know, everybody that's in there is pretty tough, and you're wearing those little gloves, and anything can happen on any night. And obviously, we saw that. You know, 4-ounce gloves. Doesn't take much to knock somebody out.
Right.
Yeah. Jeff, your thoughts on, you know, just what he said as far as work going forward, you know, any change of what you're doing as far as working on the boxing, still, you know, a vital part of the game plan, or how are you guys working together?
I mean, of course, the one thing that, you know, that sticks in your mind is the fact that you got caught because your hands were down. So basically, it's one of those situations in where, of course, you know, Mo, even himself, I mean, he's kind of punishing himself in regards to that and want to get it right, you know. And so basically, you know, we've made kind of like a little deal, which if I hit him, it's like every time I can actually land a punch on him, he gives me $1. You know, so and so basically, that's his way of forcing himself, you know, to keep his hands up, you know, and that's fine. I mean, of course, I don't care if he ever gives me a cent. That don't matter. But you know, but I mean, I like the fact that, you know, he's taking the initiative himself to wanna keep his hands up, you know. And so I mean, we're on the right track. We're going in the right direction. You know, and just like Mike said, I mean, one thing is that, you know, Mo is he's still Mo. He just happened to get caught by a punch that he didn't see. But he's still the same fighter. Still the same person.
And for the people that have given you criticism and him criticism, you know, saying that, well, that's because, you know, boxing, you don't train for spinning back fist. You know, Mike's already touched on it, but, you know, explain that, you know, you're not, people seem to think that you're the guy in his corner designing the game plan for him, you know, and you're the one that does everything, and the entire, you know, the entire game plan is up to you. You know, explain your role in Mo's fights.
Well, I mean, basically, of course, I mean, my thing is I'm his striking coach. That's it, you know. I mean, I don't even know nothing about kicking. I don't know nothing about taking nobody down. I don't know nothing about these side bars, cross bars, whatever, pounding, ground and pound, whatever. I don't know nothing about that stuff. I know boxing, you know, and I'm not trying to act as though I know anything else. You know, I mean, Mo came to me, you know, to get his hands right, you know, and, you know, like I said, I mean, when Mo first came to me, at that time, he probably was fighting probably the biggest name of his career. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it's the Gracie, and I know everybody know who the Gracies are.
Padre Gracie,
you know, and I mean, and when Mo knocked him out, nobody had a problem with anything, you know. Right. And then when he came around, he knocked this other guy out. Nobody had a problem with anything. But the second you lose, now all of a sudden you're being analyzed. You know, I mean, when he won, he was the greatest thing since sliced cheese. But that's how it works. You know, I mean, you got George St. Pierre got knocked out, didn't he? And
yeah,
he's the top guy in the sport. I mean, and like he's like He's like a god in the sport. But he's the same guy who got knocked out cold. You know,
right.
So it's no different. You know, that's just how it is. I mean, you just have fans are fickle. You know, you won't have some fans that don't like you, so they're going to criticize you. Then you have other fans that like you and love what you do, and they're going to support the fact that, oh, you got beat, you got knocked out. But hey, we're looking forward to you coming back. So it's just part of the game. You know, you got to take the good with the bad.
Right. Well, you know, and I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind, we'll move on. Actually, last thing I want to ask you, Mike, but I think Ashley's take first. You know, fight coming up, Roy Nelson. We've got Sheik Congo coming up. Ashley, thoughts on that fight? Have you looked at it yet? And how do you see that fight playing out?
Yeah,
let's get Ashley first, Mike, and we'll finish up with you.
We looked at the footage. I've talked to Roy, kind of make sure we're on the same page. I'm actually going to come up to Vegas after I get out of here. I'm in Temecula right now. I have a guy fighting on a 185 tournament in Bellator on Thursday, and then after that I'm going to come up to Vegas and we're going to meet up with Roy and just kind of sit down and spitball some ideas and talk to Jeff. And you know, ultimately, Roy can win this fight anywhere. Roy can take Sheik Congo down and he can submit him, or Roy can just knock him out standing. It's just that simple. And I think ultimately Roy's going to end up knocking this guy out, just because it's going to come quicker than a submission on the ground. Sheik Congo is a little tough in the first round and a half, as far as keeping him down from a takedown. So, you know, I think Roy can put him away in that same time frame, so we don't have to wait for him to tire out and then get him to the ground. But if need be, he can just get him to the ground and submit him with relative ease.
Right.
So.
And what's kind of interesting there is you have basically Roy, a guy that his foundation's on the ground. You know, he's a jiu-jitsu guy who's kind of become a striker, and then you have Congo, who's a stand-up guy. In his last few fights, he's gotten he's gotten a little happy going to the ground. So it should be interesting to see. But like, you know, I kind of agree with you. You know, he can get it early, but if not, you know, obviously Roy has the, you know, despite the look, he has the cardio to take him a while, to take him deep into the fight, and the longer it goes, the more it's gonna favor him. Ashley, you know, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's one of those fights where, you know, they both have 18 wins, they both have 17 losses, and they couldn't look more different. I mean, if you just looked at them, you know, like you said, I mean, I don't know if anybody really put their money on Roy, but, you know, I like my country boys. You know, Zinkins, big country. I live in Oklahoma. But this fight is exciting for me because it is in my home state. So.
You know, Jeff, I know you told the story before, probably on the show, but I always love the story when you first met Roy. You know, you didn't even think he was there to train, because that's the one thing. You know, you look at Roy and, you know, he's a big dude, but he doesn't necessarily look like, you know, tough as he is. So tell us the story about when he first started training with you.
No, I mean, well, it was kind of funny because I had never heard of Roy Nelson, you know, ever at all, because I never followed MMA, so I didn't know who this guy was. And so Mo had told me, you know, that, you know, because they wanted to train with me, and this would be my first time ever meeting him and his wife. And so they happened to come to Mayweather boxing gym when actually Floyd was training. So someone had to come into the gym to actually get me, to bring me out, you know. And I mean, I'd never seen this guy, Roy Nelson, whatever, you know. And so, I mean, he don't necessarily say he's Roy Nelson. They just say, we're here to train. And I'm like looking at this dude. I'm like, what? We're here to train, you know? Because I mean, he doesn't look the part, you know. Of course, I mean, he doesn't look the part. But once I got a chance to know who Roy is, beyond just the exterior, I mean, he's not only a great person, he's a tremendous worker. This guy works hard. He works extremely hard, you know. But I mean, it was funny because of the fact that I'm looking at him, and I was thinking he was talking about his son. I'm like, you know, Roy Nelson. I mean, because he had his beard, you know. I mean, he looked like an old guy, but you know, of course, you can see that without the beard, he's not old at all. It's just that, you know, he has the beard. I mean, that's part of the country image, I guess. But you know, I mean, no, it was a very, very funny, you know, funny story. But you know, like I said, at the end of the day, I got to know the person and you know, and his work ethic, you know, and that's what, you know. I mean, now it's almost like that guy didn't even exist that I met that day, you know, because I know how hard he works, you know, and just because you know, that's the reason why he has such a huge following, because he looks like a couch potato. He looks like a guy that sits down, drinks some beer, and then goes out and say, "I'll whoop your ass." That's what it looks like, but that's not what it is, you know. This guy works tremendously hard, you know, and so anytime you see Roy in there, don't care about what his shape is or if his stomach's poking out. That's all fun. But the one thing is that he's going to deliver, you know. And when he do deliver, it's going to be in, you know, in devastating fashion. And that's what, you know, that's what he's done ever since I've been working with him. I mean, he's been delivering in devastating fashion. So I mean, and I have the ultimate respect for him.
You know, and the really cool thing is at the gym, you know, you got Mo and him and Ryan Martinez and other guys pop in and out. And it's, you know, you always hear this rivalry about boxing and MMA, but it's really cool how, you know, everybody's gotten behind everybody. You know, Mo and Roy, you know, support the boxers, and the boxers get behind them. You know, you see on Twitter them all, you know, supporting each other. You know, the good times and bad. You know, I saw, you know, a lot of them offer support to Mo after the fight and that kind of stuff. So it's good to see that everybody's kind of bonded together and supports each other. But you know, that's going to kind of do it. But the one last thing, you know, Mike, I want to give her a chance to give a pitch here. You know, being a manager, I know you have legal needs. Ashley is not only the best ring card girl in the business, but she's also a Yale grad and in her last semester of law school. So in the future, you need need a lawyer. You know, that might be the way to go.
I want to be very political here and go, absolutely.
Well, unless you're buying some oil and gas wells, I'm not sure I'll be able to help.
well, you never know. I might need some investments. Well, you said before you might get in the promotion business, so you never know.
No, that's
Me?
You never know.
No,
I agree.
I don't want to be in the promotion business. There's way too many people.
No, Ashley said she would.
Oh, so. Yeah, I don't want to be in the promotion business. I'll let other people promote. I'll just say what the business I'm in.
All right, guys. What'd you say, Ashley?
I said, where are you originally from?
Me?
No, Mike.
Oh, where am I from?
Yeah.
Cleveland. I was born in Georgia, but I went to high school in Cleveland. Why?
You've got quite the accent.
Oh, really?
I loved it. It made me feel like I was back in college, but I went to college in Connecticut, so not exactly the same.
Oh, I have a college accent. That's cool.
No, I thought it sounded kind of New England-y.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you do.
You know what? Yeah, I've never been to New England, so I don't know. But I've seen a few Mark Wahlberg movies, so I guess.
It had a little Boston twang to it. But apparently
as long as you got your blood pumping, I'm happy. You know, no problem.
I've been to Cleveland before. It's a great city.
Well, Mike, you'll have to be sure to go to Ring Magazine and vote for Ashley for Ring Card of the Girl, Ring Card Girl of the Year. So, but Ashley, if you ever decide to get into the sports business, we'll send you in Mike's direction. Mike, anything else you want to say before we let you go there? Where can folks follow you and that kind of stuff?
No, I think I've said enough.
Well,
this is not a Mike Kogan show. It's a Jeff Mayweather show, so I'm going to get off the line and you guys can talk some more.
No, we're actually, this show is done. We're just finishing up with everybody. So, Jeff, if you're ready to go, you can look up Mike Kogan on Twitter. He's like I said, if you're offended easily, don't follow him. He'll tell you that straight up. But if you don't mind the language and the colorful stories he has there, by all means check him out. Jeff, anything you got to say to Mike before we let him go?
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Actually, I'm going to do first. Ashley, and what about you? Anything else before we let Mike go?
No, I think that if we meet in the future, it will be at my own risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you know what? I have downloadable ringtones if you ever want to hear me talk some more. You know, if you ever want to take a trip back to college, you can always download my ringtone.
I'm sure that'll go off in the most. I'm sure that'll go off in the most appropriate place, the ringtone. All right, Mike. We appreciate it.
I keep my phone on vibrate.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, you can put your phone on vibrate and give me a number, and we can talk all you want. I'll take you back to college, high school, wherever you want to go.
I don't know. You got some competition. Larry Holmes invited me over to his boxing glove-shaped pool, so I don't know about that.
All the Viagra in the world couldn't help Larry Holmes. Don't worry about that. I'm going to box myself on Larry Holmes.
On that note.
Yeah, on that note, I'm going to go. I think we're starting to offend the kiddies listening to this radio station. Goodbye now.
No, really, seriously though, Mike, thanks for joining us. Best of luck to Roy in his fight, and we're looking forward to Mo bouncing back. And, best of luck to you in the future, and we appreciate you stopping by with us tonight.
Thanks. All right, brother. Bye.
Take care, Mike.
All right, yeah. And actually, believe it or not, that was a tame version of Mike. Last time we had him on the Pro MMA Insider, and he was completely out of control. Like I said, I think we only asked him 2 questions. It went on for over an hour, and it was absolutely crazy. But thanks to him for joining us and giving us his side of things with his fighters. Ashley, anything else? The usual where people can follow you and stuff?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Ferrara or on Instagram at Ashley Ferrara Model. And don't forget to go to the Ring Magazine's website or my Twitter and vote for me for, we're doing the March Madness bracket, so I want to make the final and win the bracket. So keep voting.
I actually did vote, and I voted you for 4th place, so I think that'll get you in there. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, I voted for you number 1. Hopefully you win that, and by all means, everybody get out there and vote for Ashley. She deserves it. Follow Jeff on Twitter, Jeff Mayweather 1. And, of course, visit the websites, ProMMAinsider.com and ProBoxingInsider.com. And we have Twitter as well, at PBInsider and at ProMMAinsider. Ashley, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Next week I'm making a pact with you here. I'm not going to rip on you at all. I'm going to be totally nice the entire time.
What fun would that be?
Oh, okay, well... Well, I don't want to get you mad, so all right, then we'll continue on as normal. Jeff, anything else you want to say as we get out of here?
No.
Oh, and last thing I want to say, next week, I've been saying we're going to do it starting next week. We're going to debut our new little game here. We're going to do old school versus new school. Yaya McClain's going to be joining us, I believe, in Lydell Rhodes. We're going to bring them both back. They were on a few weeks ago, and we're going to do this little contest we've been talking about. So we're going to start that next week. All right, guys. Until then, we will talk to you next week. For Jeff Mayweather and Ashley Ferrara, I'm Alexz Yzerman. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Serranía, acampados se encontraba un regimiento.